All right, special edition Food Talk Friday. It's
Hello,
Marilyn
everybody.
today. Actually, she invited me and then I ended up with it. So here we are.
Hello. It's all good.
So
And,
any
it takes a
Go ahead.
village, right? It takes a village,
Oh
and,
yeah.
we'll have Kelly Copter in backstage soon helping us with starring questions, so we all
Awesome,
work
awesome.
together. So, how you
So
doing?
I'm doing all right. Notice no jacket today. I kind of had a little. I've got a back issue. Part of the reason that I can do what I'm doing now is because I can't work, and so I'm a little. We'll call it casual today.
Oh, it's Sunday.
Yeah, casual
It's good.
Sunday.
Mhm.
But so anyway, how have you been doing?
Oh, pretty good. Yeah, I'm ready to talk about this. I went grocery shopping the other day, was
Did
trying
you?
to, make some healthy choices. And yes, I was
Hmm.
listening to your Friday stream as I was running
Hmm.
around and I had to buy a new scale. But
Yeah,
Duncan broke my
yeah.
scale.
Oh no.
Well, he was
So,
weighing the dog, and I think the dog wiggled, and I don't know what happened. It's old
oh
anyways, so
no.
yeah,
Yeah, I got one of
seems to
those
be
nice digital scales, and
oh,
basically what I do is I take everything off and get on my scale right before I get in the shower and
there
before
you
I
go.
eat or drink anything, so I get a baseline, and I do it
Yeah.
maybe twice a week. So, I mean, if it's one of those things where if you do it every day, it kind of gets a little disappointing.
Yeah.
So, do it once a week, or some people do it once every 2 weeks or once a month. Just kind of keep an eye on what's going on. And some of the things you'll discover, sometimes you'll plateau, and like right now I'm plateauing, and so I had to come off the low carb for a short bit. I've been off it about 3 weeks, and so I'm fixing to go back on again this week. In fact, last night I did what we call a sausage stew. The video will go up on low carb. If you look at Simply Good, the video's there for this particular recipe. The difference is I took out the potatoes and added squash and mushrooms.
Oh.
So
Oh, Duncan would like that. He does really love, vegetables and especially mushrooms. That's his favorite.
mhm,
But
mhm.
but yeah, so everyone just send your questions or comments. Like I said, we'll have Kelly Copter soon starring questions and comments, and we'll, talk about anything. It doesn't have to be
That's
low
right.
carb or
Yeah.
anything like that. We can talk about any food,
Yeah.
any
Yeah, it's
recipes.
yeah, it's just Marilyn told me earlier that she is what we call pre-diabetic because she's right there on the borderline. And so I'll tell you a little bit about me and how all this started for me. Is I was pre-diabetic when I lived in the 18-wheeler and trying to eat um, healthy when you're in a truck and you're stopping at truck stops, is next to impossible.
Mhm.
To the point I sent it to a the menus to the nutritionist and said, I can't find anything to eat. And she looked at it, took about a week, and she said, I can't either. So, I mean, it was really tough. I'm now full blown type 2 diabetic, and my blood sugars prior to starting the low carb were running anywhere from the mid 300s to 500s. And for most people, you hit the 450, 500, you're heading to the hospital on the
Mm,
emergency room. Okay. And
mm.
I was living that way. Um, and when I no longer was working for the grocery store, we lost one of our insurances because we were paying, had a dual insurance. And so it was covering, hello, Kelly. It was covering
Hi, Kelly.
the, um, the medications for me. So I wasn't paying anything for my insulin and all that stuff. And when I lost that, it became $300, every month out of pocket
Oh,
and
wow.
for just my insulin. And I went, I can't afford that. That's beyond my budget. So what can I do? And so I started looking at low carb. And now we're talking low carb, not keto. There is a difference. Low carb, keto, you have to stay under 20 grams of net carbs per day. So that's that's kind of hard to do. I set my goal. I have a top end at 50 net carbs per day, but I try to stay around 30. So it requires a lot of planning. Um, the thing about it is that I don't want to go into ketosis because ketosis is too close to ketoacidosis to me. It's how it rings in my head. Um, and my doctors were kind of go, well, I don't know that you really want to go into ketosis, which ketosis is what the goal is in keto. Ketosis is where your body turns the switch and literally burns nothing but fat for fuel. So that's why you get that weight loss.
The dog.
Do what?
The dog has found a squeaky toy. That's cute.
God, his squeaky toy. Hey,
Hi, Whitney.
trying to get my
Hello.
husband's attention.
Yeah.
Hello, Whitney. Trying to get my husband's attention to
Oh,
take
hey.
that ball from the dog.
Happened today.
Yeah.
And see all our friends.
Yeah, and Ozzy's going to be annoying about it. I can see this coming. I might have to throw something at the hubs. Give me a second.
That's okay, honey. Hey, everyone. Sin, you look like a ghost. That's so funny.
Oh, my background? Yeah.
Puppies. We love puppies around here.
We
It's
love
all
puppies,
good.
yeah. I have
Yep.
3 of them, squeaky toys. Yeah, I keep telling him it's dead. He won't pay, he won't,
No.
he doesn't believe me. It's like, oh my God. I am gonna run a quick little banner for you guys as we talk about this, mainly because I want to make sure we all understand. In this discussion about low carb that we're talking about right now, really and truly, we are not professionals in that area. And basically,
Hell
this is
no.
only, oh yeah, neither am I. And this is only for discussion. Would you leak? I don't want the ball. Go away. That was my husband. Anyway, um,
Oh
but
my
anyway,
goodness.
it's only for discussion, and that if you're making a lifestyle change that's going to affect your health, and diet will, make sure you talk to your doctor first. A lot of doctors are kind of iffy on the low carb keto idea, especially people who um, are high on cholesterol, because you will get a cholesterol bump with this. It will, because you're changing over your oils to healthy oils and healthy fats, and so it's going to bounce that cholesterol up. And so you really have to kind of have the doctor take a look at the breakdown of what kind of cholesterol you're talking about. Because once my doctor did that, because she had a fit when she saw my cholesterol levels.
Yeah.
Let's break it down. Let's look and see what kind we're talking about. And turns out my good cholesterol levels had gone way up, and that was what the bump was. And they kind of evened out for a little bit, because I started, when the fat in your body is storing cholesterol as well as basic fat. Okay,
Right. You're right.
releasing all that, so you're gonna get a bad cholesterol bump as well. But it, after about 4 to 6 months, it actually evens out and your cholesterol will lower. At the 6-month point, I mean, I used to tease, my doctor my cholesterol used to be horrendously high, and I used to call it the "why aren't you dead yet" level.
Yikes.
I was well over 300. And after 6 months, I walked in, we had the blood work done, and my doctor looked at me and she said, "Your cholesterol levels are incredibly good." She says, like a whole other person good.
Wow.
So it does even out and come down, but you will get that bump at the beginning, and your doctor's liable to go, "Oh my God." So be aware of that. So anyway, Kelly, go ahead and throw those up there, whichever ones you want, and we'll go from there.
Hey, poet.
Poet, say, Brian, how are you? And Tiff, hello, Tiff. It squeaks. It's
Hi,
that's what
Tiff.
the dogs believe. They're incredibly,
That's
yeah.
right. Hi,
Hello,
Claire.
Claire.
Hello. Yep. I love
So
during the day on
knowing your
Sundays.
own, yeah, knowing your own vitamin blanches in your own body to feed yourself with what you need. Yeah, it's the comment that I make a lot of times when we're talking about food and healthy foods versus not healthy foods is one thing you have to realize: one, your grocery bill is going to go up. Healthy food
Oh,
is
yeah.
expensive.
Mhm.
I mean, incredibly expensive. And this country, and I don't know about the UK and other areas of the world, but this country in particular, food has gotten so expensive, but the junk food is cheap and the good food's expensive. And
Yep.
so what's happening in this country is we're starving. We're literally have a food crisis. We're starving ourselves, even though we have full pantries and full refrigerators because we're full of junk food, you know because
Yeah.
that's what people can afford. I mean, I don't think in anymore. I mean, this is kind of weird, but we don't really have a middle class anymore. We have people who are in the millions and billions, and then we have the rest of us who are paycheck to paycheck, and trying to afford those foods is really tough. So
Mm.
anyway, um, started the chef education, but all I really remember is how to cut carrots the right way. um it's funny. I never went to culinary school. I thought about it, but I went to vet school instead. And then when my daughter got pregnant at 16 and she had a very disabled child, and it became a case of either I went to school or she went to school, and by the law, she had to go. So I left my pre-vet education. But I used to call myself a grandma cook. And my mentor, Chef Sean, he and I would argue about whether or not, because he said, "No, you're a chef," and I'm like, "No, I'm a grandma cook." And we argued back. He
Mm.
finally talked me into accepting it. He says, "You're as good in certain areas, and chefs specialize. He says you're as good as a lot of the chefs that I've known," and that's pretty high praise from him because this guy has cooked for presidents, so he is a chef. So anyway,
Nice.
but yeah, knife skills are always fun to have and great things to have. I'll be doing next time I go grocery shopping. I am going to do a film looking at labels, so y'all get ready for that.
Great.
So Amy Jones says, "Sin, when I was OTR, we invested in a better truck and with an inverter in the bunk. I made menu book from things we could grill on or crock pot. It was cheap." Yes, it was. We did the same thing. I had a little refrigerator and a microwave. I had a New Wave convection, just like I do on the videos. I don't know if you know that, but I use the New Wave. And I had a little plug-in coffee pot that would boil water. And so, yeah, we would do the same thing. So yeah, Amy, I'm right there. We did the same exact stuff. But if you're living, and that's the interesting thing with truck drivers, a lot of truck drivers have a lot of issues with diabetes, and it's because of what they're
Yeah.
eating. These guys are not gonna cook for themselves. My husband ate ham sandwiches and had one meal a day at the truck stop when he was out there. When I was in the truck, we cooked a little bit more because I did, you know. But pup groomer, fostering a new dog and hope to adopt and train her for my new service dog. That will help with getting back on my diet and being able to add exercise after my surgery. Her training can be expensive. Yes, my son has a service dog. None of mine are service dogs, although one of them I wanted to. But he has epilepsy, and so he
Oh,
has a service dog for that. But then they're very expensive. Have a lot of requirements, but hopefully that'll work. I hope so, pup. That would be great if you can do take one of those poor dogs off the street and have it trained for that. So awesome. Loving
hi.
today's show. A
Hey,
newcomer.
Kate.
Hi, Kate. Welcome.
Yes, welcome.
Like having you. This community is huge and growing, and we love. Now, one of the things I do want to say, and I don't have Marilyn's Kelly may have it, so she might be able to put the link up for the petition. Speaking of,
Oh, yes. I
can you
don't
tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, sure. So, Duncan and I, my husband and I, had been talking about just maybe some ways of trying to get the the word out a little more about Scientology. We bump into people all the time that we talk to, and once in a while Scientology come up and they're like, "Oh, is that Tom Cruise cult? That really weird thing?" So it is getting out, but there are so many people that are being abused still to this day,
Mhm.
and our taxpayer dollars in America are subsidizing this. So we've been kind of talking about it a little bit. The change.org petitions aren't really anything super official, but they have been used many times for as a one more
To affect
tool
change.
to affect change, right? So after seeing those Rosemary Brown videos that her son did with Mike and Claire, we were just
Mhm.
floored, and we were like, okay, we're gonna do it. So Duncan sat down. 20 minutes later, he came up with something. We sent it to Liz Gale because she's an author, and then he had a vision for the cover photo, and we asked Kelly if she could whip something up on AI, and it all came together within like probably an hour. And it was about a week
Nice.
ago, maybe a week and yeah, maybe like 9 days ago, and there's over 1,000 signatures now.
Yeah.
So yeah, if somebody can put that up. Oh, I see
So,
it. Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you,
Kelly
Cal.
has put it up here.
Yeah.
I'll
Thank you.
Kelly, I'm gonna throw this up here real quick. So, oops, I didn't get it. I missed the wrong one. Where did it go? Oh, here it is.
Oh,
It
I think
keeps
I scroll
moving.
up. There it
It
is.
keeps moving.
That's
There's
it.
it. There it
Thank
is.
you. Thanks, Cal.
We
Yeah.
have it in chat, so y'all click on that link and go sign that petition if you haven't already. I will tell you that I've probably signed it 20 times and I'm still fighting with the pop-up issue.
Oh, it's still not working?
No, I've
Oh,
yeah,
weird.
I've really, really been annoyed at it. So I think what I'm gonna have to do, I think Norton's the problem. I run Norton and run a VPN.
Oh,
And
thank
so
you, witness. Thank
do
you.
is
Andy's life.
yeah, turn the whole thing off. So yeah,
You
it
might be able
definitely
to sign it
is.
on your phone. You might be able to pull it up on your phone,
I
maybe.
may have to do it that way. I'll have to look, but yeah, it's just been a real pain
Yeah.
trying to get that done. But I was like, she Marilyn let me know right after it went up. I probably would have been the second or third person
Yeah,
signing up.
totally. I know.
And I have been for the last week going in there and saying, "How come this?" So I'm trying.
Yeah, maybe on
Yeah,
your
you had to
phone.
disable. Okay, all right. Thanks, Whitney.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
try that. I'll try disabling the VPN
Thank
to
you.
do it. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Okay. That
Yes,
I'll
so
try that because that was
so
probably my next thing.
Kelly's given us a challenge to get
Mm.
35,001 signature, because that'll definitely be more than there are Scientologists in the world, although that's a very high estimate. So it's probably more like 20,000 to 25. So, and if we get
Well, if you
quite a few, we will send it to
yeah,
the chair of the Ways and
yeah.
Means Committee in Congress.
Well, okay, if Kelly, if we can get Aaron to really push it, I bet you we can get it done
Yeah,
because
probably.
you know Aaron. So so well somebody will have to get a hold of Aaron and rattle his cage and say, I need you to promote this. But anyway, so it's
Right.
cool. Yeah, you get 3,000 people on there at one time. I was walking past a Lay's factory and was struck by how much resources are used to make food with zero nutritional value. I agree. Um,
Absolutely.
it's it's amazing. I mean, and the other thing you see is like all these people on what we call it SNAP here in the States on food stamps.
Mhm.
Um, if you look at the baskets that as they pull up and and having worked in the grocery store, I worked at the front end for a little while and I saw the stuff that those SNAP cards were buying and it's junk food, all of it. I didn't see any healthy vegetables or fruit or very few. I mean, there was a couple of people who were that way, but for the most part, 9 out of 10, it was all Cheetos and TV dinners and pre-prepared garbage. And we have to realize that our tax dollars are subsidizing starving and our
Mhm.
our own people. You know,
Yeah.
Makes it really hard. So so Allison Art Supply Hordland. Is it Maja? Is that right, Marilyn? I'm not
My
sure. Or Maja?
my Maya? I'm trying to remember
Maya?
because Reese
Maya?
told me how to pronounce
Oh,
that. I
how
think it might be
funny.
Maya. Yeah,
Maya? Okay.
I think so.
About 10 years ago, I stopped eating sugar. I had abstinence symptoms for about 3 or 4 months. Yeah. Headaches, feeling bad. Maya, thank you, pup groomer. Um, feeling bad, that kind of stuff. I was drinking probably 20-ounce sodas. I was drinking maybe 2 to 3 a day. Um,
Mm.
back when all this started, and I will tell you that I may have a soda. I tend to go ahead and plan for a soda, and I have artificial or sugar replacement sensitivities. I have certain
Oh,
things
really?
I just I will get sick. I mean, I can't even do stevia. I have that one's a really bad allergic reaction. But like NutraSweet and Swerve and Sweet and Low and those, I can't do them. I get massive migraines when I do. And so I have to be pretty careful. So I will actually kind of plan out my sodas. I do have they're full on flavor sodas, but they're the small cans.
Mhm.
So I limit it that way. And I will have one every, one a week at least. But again, that's as I was talking about it, you have to have cheat days. You have to have days where you allow yourself to have some of those things you crave. I mean, as I was saying, one of the things that I talk about when you're talking about diet, and I think, y'all, when you and Liz were talking about it, I made the comment in chat about the keyword of diet is die.
Yeah.
Um, that's sort of my philosophy because my thought process in dealing with diets is that if you deprive yourself of the things that you're used to and you love completely, you will
Yep.
crave them and then you will binge on them. And so
Yep.
if you take a day and say, you know what, I'd really like to have mashed potatoes. Okay. It's not on my diet, but I really am craving mashed potatoes. Well, you can go over to the mashed cauliflower, which I don't care for it. All I taste is cauliflower. So, what I love about raw cauliflower becomes overwhelming in cooked cauliflower to me. So, I will get a little bit of mashed or a small baked potato, and I will have that,
Mhm.
but I plan for it. And so that's why I started the new channels, the simple low carb. Initially, when I was going to do a channel, my plan was to do simple low carb. Simply Good was not even on the radar. And,
Good.
yeah, the initial was Simple Good because what I like to do is I like to take recipes that we all know and love and take a look of them, break them down, and rebuild them into something that's low carb. So it's
Mhm.
like, fried chicken tenders, the fried chicken. Instead of using white flour, which you can't have on low carb, I use whey protein powder and
Oh.
season that up. It's
Mhm.
it's there, and I'll show it to you. It'll come back. It'll come up, but it makes the crust really, really crispy.
Mhm.
But it's not the big chunks of stuff that you see on the extra crispy chicken that you get from KFC.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really fine, but it's
Oh,
really crispy. So yeah,
roast potatoes.
um, roast potatoes. I love roast potatoes. But yeah, that's the kind of thing that I do. So, and that's where Sinfully Low Carb came from. Well, then I got involved in the SP community and got to thinking these poor people who are coming out of Sea Org have never
Me
seen the
neither.
inside of a kitchen. They need
Right.
something they can make, and they
Mhm.
don't necessarily, they probably haven't eaten well. They're probably really thin. They don't necessarily need to lose weight and they probably
They
don't
need
have
their carbs.
diabetes.
Right.
They need their carbs. So that's what I ended up putting out first. And now the sister channel that I've just done. Kelly, I have a banner. Let me toss it up real quick. Yeah, this one right here is the Cynfully low carb,
Good.
and that is where all that's going now. It's very bare right now. It has 7 subscribers. If you guys want to go there and subscribe, please do.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very, I'm gonna hide that so Kelly can get back to what she does. Uh
Thank you,
but
Kelly.
thank you, Kelly.
Oh,
But anyway.
Liz
Hey
Ferret.
Liz.
Hi, sweetie.
Um
I
but anyway,
texted you.
that awesome. That that particular channel is going to have all the low carb stuff. And you'll notice there's going to be a good deal of crossover, because the reality of it
Right.
is that, you know, the oven baked pork chops that are on Sinfully Good are
Mhm.
incredibly low carb. You just have to take away the mashed potatoes, you
Yeah.
know. So
Yeah.
there's things that you do instead of. So the
Mhm.
chicken piccata that's up there, even though the video is the same one and it shows the pasta, I did say I redid the voiceover and did say something about, yes, it
Mhm.
shows pasta, but the reality is you can have this on a bed of wilted spinach instead, and it's just as good. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, the other day I made some Duncan made like a roast chicken and I took some of the breast and I made a little chicken salad and instead of
Hmm.
reaching for, the bread, I made like lettuce roll-ups and with romaine lettuce. It was
Yes.
nice and crunchy
Yes.
because that's like
Yes.
kind of what I like. I like to put the bread in the toaster and get that crunch. And I was like,
Hmm.
this is really good. And I didn't
Yeah,
feel
lettuce
really
rolls
like
are really
weighed
good.
down. Yeah, I've
What's
done it
like
before with I do kind of like the rice cauliflower, but as long as it has a ton of flavor,
I
you
was
know?
waving to Joel.
Oh, hey, Joe.
Um, I know, Whitney. I was gonna grab something to eat. You know, I wake up in the morning, I can't eat anything, and then right about the time this we were about to go live, my stomach goes, "Oh, hello, I'm hungry," and I'm like going, "Too
Oh,
late."
we're gonna talk about food the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah. So, let's see. Question: my brother-in-law and sister are thinking to do one of the prepare meal plans that are about at the moment because it works out cheaper. What are my thoughts of the prepared meal plans? Um, if they work out cheaper, I might go for that. But I am sort of, for one thing, I like to make my stuff. I like to know what's in it. I like to know what's going in it. I like to know that I'm not eating a whole bunch of preservatives and other garbage that gets stuck and stuff. You really have to look at those prepared meal plans and see what they're offering. The other side of it is that you need to look at, is it actually a better value? I'm really on the fence about the prepared meal plans. I've looked at a few of them, but I haven't gone into them. Um, I'm kind of on a kick now where I'm hitting Costco and buying bulk meats, which is, costing it's a big expense at the get go at the start.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Okay, but if you break it as you break down the meats and that type of stuff, you realize how many meals you're getting out of this big chunk of meat. I mean, to give you an idea, I'm getting 6 meals out of a pork loin that cost me $18. So if you do the math on that, it's what, $2 a
Mhm.
meal. Now that's just the meat, but that's the biggest part
Right.
of what you're buying. So
Mhm.
you know,
Totally.
um, So I'm on the fence, Like I said, they really need to take a look at, or if you're gonna thinking about doing it, take a look at exactly what you're getting for that, you know, because I just I don't know. Yeah, Joe, I know. I'm starving,
Really.
but my stomach's gonna grow. Hopefully, it didn't pick it up on the mic.
Well,
Used to
we
drink
can
a
keep it at about an hour, hour 15. We don't have to
No,
go for
I
2
don't.
hours.
However
I turn
long we're
into a
here, I don't
pumpkin.
mind.
Yeah. Okay, honey.
Um,
Yeah.
Used to drink a lot of soda, usually when I get depressed. Quit drinking them in May, and I think I've lost 15 pounds.
Nice.
My initial weight loss was when I stayed home, quit drinking the 20-ounce sodas, and drank tea. I probably lost 20 pounds in the first month, just because I did. That was before I actually moved over to the low carb. Um, so that was the beginning of it. But
Mhm.
you know, um, I'm gonna have to pull up one of these days and figure out how to do screen share. But I have a picture of me the or Thanksgiving before I started the low carb, and the difference. I mean, I'll pull it up and at one of these days I'll have to find it. I didn't think about it. So anyway, question: is pork cheaper than other meats? It depends. Chicken's probably the least expensive in the grocery
Yeah.
stores here.
Mhm.
So we do a lot of chicken. Uh, then I would say probably pork is probably the next one. But here's the thing. A lot of these people who are, and it's best if you can do this, but it's this is what makes your grocery bill go so high. Is that moving over to organics and grass fed? Um, all natural, no antibiotics, all of that stuff. It's much better for you. Um, it is really what you should be doing if you're doing a low carb is going with organics and grass fed and
Mhm.
uh, free range and that type of stuff because it is more natural. I mean, they pump if you ever look at a free range natural chicken breast and look at one of the ones that are just the regular, and you'll notice that it looks like a big old turkey breast compared to the free range.
Right.
That's because they're pumping it full of preservatives and waters
Yeah.
and all kinds of stuff. So it's really you can really see the difference. So and it is, yeah, I agree with Claire. It's got much more flavor. Yeah, it does. It really does. We get a lot of our meat from the local 4-H livestock sales and
Oh,
wild
wow.
our meat is less medicated. Yes. Oh, and the other thing is that if you can find a farmer's market close to you, hit those. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
support your
Totally.
local
Mhm.
farmers. They have some great deals because not a lot of people pay attention to that. So if you have a farmer's market, or like I have a friend who sells peaches on the side of the road that he gets out of his off his peach trees at his house. So I usually during peach season I will get some from Chris. But um anyway, so doing that kind of thing. Really and truly, when you're talking going low carb, and you have a lot of leeway, you can do a lot of things that you can't do on keto. Keto is very strict. Well, low carb is not as strict. And so, like I said, if you're really craving that baked potato, say, okay, I'm going to have a baked potato on my cheat day. But that's the only cheat that you do. So again, we're talking about our cheat days and our favorite things in moderation. So,
Mhm.
like this week, maybe you want a baked potato. Next week, maybe you want, I don't know, a handful of chips. You know,
Mhm.
the next week, maybe you want a fudgesicle or a popsicle or ice cream or something. And they make some really, in fact, there's a really good one that I'm going to test, and it probably will show up on the low carb channel. It's basically cottage cheese with a stick blender. Joel, this is where you're going to want your stick blender. You take a tub of cottage cheese, you put fruit puree or chocolate or whatever, and then stick your stick blender in it and blend it up and then freeze it. And
Oh,
that's literally all it is. Okay.
wow.
And I'm going to be testing that one out here before too much longer when I get into the ice cream craving. So, get ready for that because I'm going to try it. I'm going to see how it goes. Joel, we make our own raw meat cat food. We spend a lot more on them than we do on us now that it is just the two of us. But our cats are in good health. We had a cat that was 21 when she passed, so it is worth it. A lot of people are you doing, yeah, it sounds like you're doing raw. There's a big thing about doing raw for the dogs. I mean, you have to realize that when dog food and cat food's the same way, even our food, when you process it to the nth degree, I mean, we're talking about they cook it down to kibble on dogs and
Mhm.
cats. So you have to realize that's very, very processed. Well, you're losing a ton of nutrients in that. So, yeah, doing raw is really great for your animals. And then again, think about it too: is that if you're doing processed, you're losing nutrients, especially if it's pre-cooked and then packaged, because you're going to cook it again, and therefore you're going to lose more nutrients. Because every time you
Right.
cook something, you're losing nutrients.
Right.
Okay, so do
Hmm.
be aware of that. So anyway, so that's one of those things. Lumi Dawn, the high density corn syrup contributes to fatty liver disease. Yes, I found Fever Tree. It's 3/4 cup serving. Is that cup? I'm assuming, and sweetening with sugar. I'm a huge fan of their ginger beer. I may look at that because I haven't heard of Fever Tree. Um, but yes, at the beginning of the problem here in the United States with obesity, really, really started with the high fructose corn syrup. Um, they thought it was a great
Hmm.
idea. Oh, yeah, we'll put this high fructose corn syrup in there instead of sugar. Well, it's created an issue. And now it's in everything. So that's when I talk about when you go grocery shopping, you have to
Yeah.
really read those labels. There's things that you look for that you don't want in there, and high fructose corn syrup is on the top of the list. And if it's really interesting, if you look over, pick up a thing of honey, okay, and you're thinking, how can honey, how can they mess up honey? I mean, it comes from bees, right? Well, if you look at that label, a lot of times it's not honey, it's high fructose corn syrup that they've added a honey flavor to. So,
Really?
oh yeah,
True. Yep.
pancakes are same way. So, I mean, granted, Marilyn, you get that wonderful pancake syrup that you have up there in
Yeah. We have
Vermont.
real honey too.
Yeah,
Yep.
but and I'm envious of all those guys who got some syrup from you because I'm like going, oh man, but I can't really, it's sugar.
I got a crochet. It's not, you know what? It's not cheap for me either. It's crazy. And
No, I don't
the
imagine.
shipping is as much as the
I
syrup
don't
because
imagine.
it's so heavy.
Oh
But
yeah,
I gotta make some crochet money and I'll start sending some more
I hear
out.
you. Oh no, you don't. My husband is
No
huge
problem.
on. My husband's from Connecticut, so
Oh,
he
okay.
lived
Yeah,
in
there you
Connecticut
go.
for quite a bit. So he's pretty
Nice.
spoiled about real syrup. So
There.
yes, more never ends. Yes, we like having the never ends, and it's amazing. I mean, there are people. We love hearing the stories and the stuff that Reese and Aaron have been putting out about the phone calls
Oh, yeah.
and
Mhm.
now it's the Facebook private chat, whatever.
The
Uh,
Scientology moms. Oh my
oh
god.
my lord! The one about the want ad was just like, you got to be kidding me, you know. So
I know.
Whitney Witness says I'll post it on my community page. Maybe Osa will sign the position. That would be hilarious.
Thank you, witness. It
That's
really.
awesome. That
Yeah.
would be funny. I could just see Captain Davy in the Navy right now going, why is your name on this petition? Somebody would be going to,
I know.
you know. So Clearwater Clear says, you're keeping me company whilst I have a sort out of my clothes from summer to autumn.
Yep. That time of
Yeah.
year.
Well, yeah, it was like, we as soon as we get our first cold snap, which cold, okay, Texas cold, anything under 100 is cold. It's soup season, and my family demands for soup. The beginning of soup season, first soup that they have is what we call a chicken tortilla soup.
Mm.
And so that was the newest. I put that up there, and I did a low carb version. Now the key on the low carb version, and it's just as good, is you leave out the tortillas and you leave out the beans and corn. The rest of it's fine on a low carb diet. And what I do, instead of, because I kind of miss having the beans and corn in there, because it's almost like a broth otherwise. You got the tomatoes, but
Mhm.
it's almost like a broth otherwise. And so I miss the two-seed, something to chew on. And so what I do is I just cut up an avocado and I toss it in there. So I have
Oh.
avocado chunks all in there. So, you're eating along, you get a spoonful, and if you're not paying attention, next thing you know, you have a surprise of a nice creamy chunk of something that you're chewing. And it's like, that's good, you
So
know?
let me ask you. You
Yeah,
said that you have up to 50 carbs, 50 grams of carbs a day. How where do those
net
usually come
carbs.
from? Or net carbs. Where do those usually come from?
It
What are
comes
your carbs?
from a lot of it. Everything has some sort of carb, some bit of carb in it. So you're gonna
Mhm.
have some seasonings. They have hidden carbs. You don't see them, but I use a program online. It's called Carb Manager. Okay. Very easy. It's free. You can pay for the premium if you want to. I didn't find that much advantage to paying for premium, so I quit because it does everything with the free on that
Mhm.
I need to have done. And basically, what you do is if you have a recipe there, you take it, you break it down, and put it in that thing, and tell it how many servings it'll do, and it'll break everything down to you: how many carbs, how much fat, how many calories, how much protein. Because when you're looking at a low carb, if you're talking 30 grams of net carbs, now remember, it's not total carbs, which is what you'll see a lot of times on the package labels. It just says total carbs or
Mhm.
carbs.
Mhm.
Um, so it's when you're looking at carbohydrates and when you're having to go down to net carbs, is you take the total carb, which is a number that you're going to see on the package, and you subtract the fiber
Fiber. Mhm.
and any sugar alcohols. That would be erythritol, stevia, any of those, and it'll come across as sugar alcohols. And you
Mhm.
take those two, add those two numbers together, and then subtract from the total carbs, and that gives you net carbs. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, when you're doing a low carb diet, you also want to kind of keep track of what your um, protein is, and this carb manager will give you some things to set up, and you can uh, as you go into it. So you'll say, I want 30 grams net carbs, okay?
Mhm.
And then it'll say, okay, for you to have 30-gram net carbs, and how do you want to go? Do you want to go moderate? And they'll call it moderate keto, which is low carb. Um, go moderate keto. Okay, well, we're going to give you X amount of protein per day and X amount of fat per day. And it'll figure those numbers out for you, and then it will track as you put your meals in there. It will track where you are, and it will tell you how many grams of each individual thing you have left
Oh.
for the day. Okay.
Mhm.
So that's what I use to keep track. So if you see any of the recipes, and you'll see it says on the bottom, it says net carb nutritional info per serving, and then it says net carbs, fat, proteins, and calories. That's where that's coming from. So is that app. So Lumi Dawa says, my husband loves out food ninja. He does all the cooking.
I think she's
I must be
meaning to say loves my
our
husband loves
food.
our food
Our
ninja.
food
Yeah.
ninja.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, that the ninja products, yeah. Excuse me, like the blender, the big blender. Yes. That's a very good one. I have a Nutra Ninja. I think it's got the food processor and the blender and the cups and the whole nine yards. So
Yeah.
I've got one of those big ones. This is too much for me. I'm making dinner. Well, head over to
I know.
Cynfully Good or Cynfully Low Carb, and there's all kinds of recipes for you.
Nice. There you go.
Y'all, I am lucky, maybe. I have no problem with overweight issues. My problem is putting weight on. So I live by this rule: fat equals flavor. It may not be good. I don't know. The only thing I would caution you on that one, Joel, is what your cholesterol is doing.
Mhm.
Because saturated fats are kind of rough on the cholesterol level. So um, I agree with you. Fat is flavor. I think, and you're talking about protein. So um, it's hard to put on weight. I used to always say, I wish I had that problem. And I think it's actually harder to have that problem than it is to be overweight. I mean, as hard as it is to be overweight, imagine if you couldn't gain weight and you were too low.
Mm.
So, it's very hard. So anyway, yeah.
Mhm.
That is one of the reasons I had to lose weight. Hair's breadth from turning into a complicated diabetic and confirmed fatty liver at 41. I probably have the same issue. I would be willing to bet I have fatty liver. And now, guys, you have to realize that I was close to 300 pounds a year and a half ago. Okay. Very close. I was like 286, I think, when I started. I am now just under 200, but I am under 200. So that was the first level. That was first goal. was to get under 200, and now it's
Oh,
getting
that's great.
the last 25 to 50 pounds off. So is where I'm at. So that's been a year and a half of eating low carb. So anyway,
Nice. So what does a
but
typical day look like for you? I like what are your go-to foods that you like during the day? Like I don't know. I don't know what to eat. I really don't.
my
I know what I
go-to's,
can't I know what I can't eat
yeah,
if I want to do this low carb thing, but I don't know what
I
I
will
can eat.
tell you. I will tell you, in all honesty, I go to one meal a day. I truly do. I physically, I haven't been able to do this since I was a kid. I can't eat breakfast. I can't put anything in my mouth for about at least 2 to 3 hours after I wake up. I have a horrendous gag reflex, and it gets better throughout the day. So what I do is I will normally not have breakfast. I know everybody says most important meal of the day. For breakfast, um, berries. There's a great, believe it or not, I have a recipe. I have to find it and get it for you, Marilyn. But if you like oatmeal, it's sort of a take on oatmeal. We'll call it that, or grits.
Mhm.
And what it is ricotta cheese with cinnamon and a little bit of sweetener in
Mhm.
it. And you basically put the ricotta cheese in the microwave, heat it up, and flavor it with cinnamon, and you could probably flavor it with sugar-free jams and jellies and be just as well. But that the grittiness of ricotta cheese um kind of mimics almost like cream of wheat or oatmeal or some of those other things.
Mhm.
There's another one that you can do using what they call sliced almonds,
Mhm.
and cook them down in some almond milk, and they will give you that feeling of um, oatmeal. So yeah, so there's a couple of things you can do. So if you want to head that way, handful of nuts, berries, uh, Greek yogurt, unflavored Greek yogurt, and berries. And we're talking about strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries. The little guys.
Mhm.
You could do something like that with a non-flavored Greek yogurt and a handful of fruit. Eggs, omelets, eggs and bacon. Stay away from the toast and biscuits and that type. I mean, you'll miss
Mhm.
it, but that type of stay, you know.
Mhm.
But I do an early dinner basically, and it's a big meal, and then I'll have things like the berries. I'll snack on the berries or the nuts or um, celery sticks with peanut butter or almond butter, that type of stuff. So that will get me to the one meal, and then I do a low carb dinner. That's
Mhm.
decently sized. It's pretty good size, and then that I'm done.
Mhm.
I may have some berries for the day, but that's me typically.
Mhm.
Um, if you're doing, say, 3 meals a day or 2 meals a day for that matter, do a good breakfast and then have a good dinner, and then you might have a snack in between, just something really light. Again, the celery, the nuts, the
Mhm.
berries, that kind of stuff. So that would do. Or if you're doing 3 meals a day, then you're going to have to take that 30 grams that you're allowing yourself and divide
Mhm.
it into three. So you're going to have eggs, maybe a scrambled eggs and egg in the morning, and a piece of bacon, and maybe avocado slices or something like that. And then at lunch you'll have tuna with homemade mayonnaise in it, and maybe some I don't know, celery and that type of stuff in your tuna on celery or in a wrap. The other thing I use a lot of times is I will use low carb, what they call low carb flour tortillas. When I make like pulled pork and everybody's
Mhm.
having everything on a bun, I get out my low carb tortillas and I have it in
Right.
that.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of, it's just adjustments that you make. It's
Mhm.
really not hi Chad. It's really not
Chad.
huge, but you just have to
Right.
realize you can't really have potatoes, you can't have pasta, you can't have rice, you can't have
Mhm.
breads.
Well, if you think of
Those
those
high
4
carb.
things they don't have a ton of flavor, so
Yeah.
You know.
They're
Yeah.
yeah, they're just something that you're used to having, it's just
Mhm.
kind of one of those things that you kind of go, okay, well, I'm used to having a roll with dinner. I can't have a roll. Now there is I just discovered it. It's another chef, or another person has put it together. I'm going to try putting it together. You make it at home, and it's called Advantage 2.0, Keto Flour 2.0, or something like that. Um, the name of the lady who does is Victoria's Kitchen. I think I'd have to look at it. But she has come up with a flour that, from what I'm understanding,
Really?
is incredible. And you
Mm.
can do so. I'm going to put it. I'm going to make some up, and I'm really going to put it to the test. And the way I'm going to put it to the test is I'm going to make pasta, because that's
Yeah.
one of the things I miss the most is
Mhm.
pasta. And the problem with most of the keto or low carb pastas, because you don't have the gluten that holds that together, you throw it in water and it just falls apart. Okay.
Mhm.
So I'm going to test it, because I've heard it makes really good biscuits. It makes really good bread. It's supposedly amazing. And my thought is, okay, we're really going to test this. We're going to make pasta and we're going to make dumplings. Those
There
are
you
two
go.
things,
Yeah.
and I'll
Mm.
test this out and we'll see how it goes. If I can make a good pasta that holds together, it's a game changer.
Mm.
So, and I will definitely share it. So, and because
Definitely.
that's going to be something people that really miss. 250, pup groomer, 250 at my heaviest, 225 to 230 for the last 12 years, but I wasn't able to physically lose until my doctor found the insulin resistance back in November, even though I had told other doctors that something was wrong.
Mm. Wow.
Sometimes you really have to advocate for yourself. Um, Insulin resistance, I mean, that's basically what type 2 diabetes is insulin resistance. Your body, that's the big difference between type 1 and type 2, is in type 1 your body stops making insulin. So you don't have any insulin. That's why you're what they call insulin dependent. That's
Right.
why you have to have insulin. It's because your pancreas says, I give up, I'm done, I'm out of here. Okay? And no longer makes insulin. What's happening with a type 2 diabetic is your body's making insulin, but for some reason the cells are looking at that going, I don't really want that. I want something else. Okay. And so it starts resisting the insulin, which controls the amount of sugar that gets into your cells. And therefore, it dumps into your blood and your blood sugar goes up. And that's kind of how that works. So, you know, you're still making insulin as a type 2. It's just that your body and your cells are resisting the insulin, which is the gateway to allow that sugar in. So that's what's happening.
Right.
So Candy's Life says to Witness, I'm thinking about meals prepping some frozen dinners for me and my hubby for during the week. We eat way too much garbage food, as I call it. That was one of the best things I did. I will tell you that. Sit
Mhm.
down, make a menu for the next week.
Mhm.
Uh, Literally plan. And then there are so many things. Get yourself some freezer bags, some, Ziploc freezer bags. And there are so many things you can pre-prepare and freeze that, if you look on Sinful Good, what they call the country pork ribs, I do that one as a meal prep frozen meal all the time. Okay. So I put all my ingredients that are going to go in my instant pot, stick them in a Ziploc freezer bag, and I throw them in my freezer. And then when I get ready to do it, I take the bag off, drop the whole frozen mess in the instant pot, add about 4 or 5 minutes, and walk away.
Mm.
It's done. Okay. So meal prepping is huge. And yes, if you really want to make this work really well, prep for the week. Just get all of it done. It's a pain in the rear end at the beginning, right after you get the groceries, because you're going to spend hours putting all this stuff together.
Right.
But the plus to it is you walk in from going to work and so on and so forth. You walk in and you dump it into your microwave, or you dump it into your instant pot, or whatever. Or just, you've got it all cut up and prepped, and you dump it into a pan and stick it in the oven,
Mhm.
but it's done. The hard part's done. All you're doing is the finish. Yeah, exactly. You freeze it, and then you don't need to worry about it. And that was when I was at my most successful, is when I did that kind of prep. So if you can do that kind of prep and it just takes, do it on a Sunday or a Saturday, whatever day it is you go
Right.
grocery shopping. I suggest not during the week because you're kind of rushed, trying to get to work and all, want to go to bed so you can get to work the next morning, that kind of thing. Because it's going to take 2 or 3 hours to break everything down, get it ready, and just stick it in the bags and throw it in the freezer. But if you can do that, that is the way to go to make this successful, is because you know what you're having that day.
Mhm.
You know exactly what it is, and you're not going to deviate. You're not going to go, oh, I don't feel like that today. I'm going to have beanie weenies, because
Right.
it's
Yeah.
it's already done. Okay.
Mhm.
Need a drink. Sorry.
It's okay.
Say, idea. Why are all my ideas so dark? I don't know, Joe. For people who have got out of cults, meals which are easy to make for people who are depressed. Well, I think all of these meals are going to be fine to make. So a lot of them are quick, especially if you had Joel. Joel has given me all kinds of hard times because he says I've made him a gadget guy, but his kitchen's full of gadgets.
Ah,
But
that's cute.
yeah, he really gives me a hard time. But the cool thing about those gadgets, the instant pot and that type of stuff, is you can
Mhm.
take and make some of these things really quickly. So yeah, it's when I get depressed, I get ice cream. Well, okay, we could do the cottage cheese ice cream and call it a day. It just kind of
Yeah, I gotta try
depends.
that.
And
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know what foods are gonna make that turn that switch in the brain, that feel good
Right.
switch.
Yeah.
Um, and honest to God, I don't know what foods those are. There are probably some out there that do that, and chocolate's probably one of them. And one of the things that I will tell you is that you can have anything you want if you're doing low carb. It's all about moderation. So if you're having I'm starving, I'm just craving chocolate, go to the store and get yourself a little bag of dark chocolate M&Ms. It's a little handful, and they're dark chocolate, so it doesn't have a whole lot of sugar in it. Um, may not be as good, but it's still chocolate, guys. Um, don't deprive yourself of the stuff you love.
Mhm.
Just do it in moderation. That's all there is to it. And do it. I do it as a treat. Basically, I say if I can stay on this meal plan for 6 days, that's what I call my cheat day. If I can stay on it for 6 days, then I can have a cheat day that I can have those things that I have deprived myself all week as a reward for doing what I said I was going to do. So that's how I do it. Is I will have a day where I have my soda, or I have those types of things, and that's my reward. Joel, what are you going to have to add to the
You add on.
household? All the oh,
He's
Joel,
gonna
I
add an
love you.
addition. He's gonna put an addition
Addition
on
for
the
just
house.
the gadget. Joel, I'm telling you, all of those things you're gonna be thanking me forever for all of those things. Trust me, because they're gonna make your life so much easier. It may be a lot of stuff to put in your kitchen, but I'm telling you, my next gadget's one of those countertop convection ovens. Those just look amazing to me. Lumi Dawn, when I worked at the Sky Dome, the large production kitchen, we poached the eggs for Eggs Benedict the day before. Hundreds of eggs. Yes. And poaching
Wow.
eggs isn't easy. It takes, I don't even do it well. I'm still trying to get better at it. But I mean, it literally takes, water and vinegar, and then you stir it and drop the egg in, so that the white kind of comes off, and all you have is this beautiful little pocket of yolk, you know. So yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Having to do that, I wouldn't want to. But I mean, then again, I've sat there and cut, thousands of cucumbers. Um, discovered a mandolin. That's your next one, Joel, is a mandolin. But if you get a mandolin, make sure you get those anti-cut gloves. There's a set of gloves that you can get that you can't cut, because that thing's razor sharp. But let me tell you something. It makes you can slice an onion. or cucumber or any on a mandolin. Wow, boom, 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 you're done. You know, Clearwater, Claire the Taylor loves poached eggs. They are good. They are really good. And
Mm,
eggs are something you can have on this. You can have a lot of eggs. Um, a lot of eggs. A lot of people
really?
do. I've done deviled eggs. That and I love deviled eggs. A good deviled egg. Oh my god. I've done those along with the dinner. Egg salad, scrambled egg, anything you can do with an egg. I actually have what I call the ultimate breakfast casserole that's got a lot of sausage and bacon and spinach and mushrooms and peppers and eggs. It's like a frittata. So yeah. Hello, Jen. Happy Sunday.
Hi, Jen. Good to see you.
Yeah, Candy's life loves her mandolin. Mandolins are really nice. Just be really, really careful because you can cut your
Yeah.
fingers pretty quickly on those. That's why I say get those no cut gloves. You can get them at Amazon. They're really, really, yeah. Deviled eggs are so good. I love them. So, and Joe loves her mandolin too, but I don't think she's going to cut many eggs and many onions on it.
I think
Right,
I
Joe?
have two. Yeah, I think I have two mandolins. I got to break them out because
Yeah,
yeah.
they're really good. I even slice yeah, like I said, really careful. I slice garlic cloves on it, you know.
Oh.
I that's in fact
Oh.
that's a lot of times if I don't smash them to start
Yeah.
mince,
Yeah.
I will do a mandolin cut and then mince them from that because it's
Oh.
really thin and cut already. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I've done that. But yeah, it's like I said, eating this way, it is a challenge. It's going to take a little bit of work. It's going to cost you more because you're going to eat. I mean, you can eat a lot of cheeses. You can eat a lot of your meats, obviously,
Hmm.
um, but you want good quality, relatively lean meats because the fat that you're wanting to eat or use is healthy fats, things like avocado oil. Avocados. Avocados are like if I'm hungry and I need a snack, I'll break open an avocado, put
Nice.
some lime juice on it, and we're
Hmm.
done, and
I
salt.
love that.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, so avocados are going to become your best friend. They have incredibly healthy fats and they're creamy. If you don't like avocados, there's some other things you can do, um, but yeah, your avocados are going to be your friends
Yeah.
in this.
I love those.
Yeah. So I mean, eat them like an apple. So that's one of the things I just love them. Um, that's one of the things I eat a lot. That becomes a snack for me. I'll usually, if I'm hungry, when I'm because I have to move into one meal a day, it kind of goes. Fasting is a big thing. So if you figure you're fasting at least 8 to 10 hours when you sleep, okay. So the rest of the day is you can eat during that time and you can spread it out. Um, Fasting really helps. So if you can go to go to 10 hours fasting and then you have the rest of the day and there's ways that you can work through it. And I
Hmm.
eventually get to one meal a day. But in
Hmm.
moving to one meal a day, I've made a tuna salad
Can
and
we
stuffed an avocado with it. Yeah. Go ahead, sweetie.
Can we think of another word for fasting?
For fasting,
It's a trigger
um,
word for me.
I understand. I'm trying to think of what to call it. Going hungry. No, we don't want to go there either. Okay, let's see. I came up
How about
with panda for the no. So we'll call that. Let's call it cheetah.
okay.
We're gonna cheetah.
Okay. Okay.
So if you're doing cheetahing will help you in the process. So, but you have to get there slowly because if you do it suddenly, you're going to go, oh my
Yeah.
God, I'm starving.
Right.
Lots of water because you'll be amazed at how, if you drink a lot of water, it will feel you won't feel hungry because you're drinking a
Mhm.
lot of water. Um, Electrolytes in your water. There's a couple of products. I use something called Ultima. And it comes in the little sticks and in little jars.
Mhm.
But electrolytes in your water. Scheduled non-eating. There you go. still like cheetah, you know. But
Anything
anyway,
but the F word.
anything.
Fasting.
Yeah, we don't want to say F words, you know.
Kelly, yeah, Kelly gave me that idea. She's like, yeah, that F word, fasting.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a, I guess what it is, we'll call it cheetah. I mean, a cheetah is a fast cat, right?
Yeah. Or we can talk about when
Cheetah.
we eat, when we actually eat, it's like loading the hump, like camel, you
Load,
know?
yeah, exactly. We're loading up,
Load the hump.
going on a
Load that
cheetah
hump.
vacation. But anyways, it'll take you time to get there. And one of the things that I do, I do that is I'll take a half of an avocado, you take the seed out, and then I'll make some tuna salad, put the tuna salad in the avocado and eat it just like that. So
Thank you, Candy.
yeah. I'm scheduled non-eating. I like that. That's really good. Um my migraine does not like the F
F
word.
word. Her migraine does not like it.
I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah. Oops. It's just that's what I'm so used to. So it'll take me a little while to get used to that. I
That's
will
okay. I'll
apologize.
get
But
over it. I'll get over it. It's
no, no,
just,
no. I mean, yeah, that's
but,
with
I
what
do
you've
it.
been through.
I do it all the time because I don't wake up hungry. I really don't. So
Yeah.
it's usually
Yeah.
like mid-morning. Um, so I came on at noon with you and I was starting to get a little
Mhm.
hungry. I just had a little cup of Duncan made some homemade chicken soup without the noodles
Yeah.
because he made the
Yeah.
noodles separately and he doesn't like to
Mhm.
put the noodles in anyways because it makes it too thick,
Soggy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he likes to put his egg noodles on the bottom of his bowl and then put
Mhm.
the hot soup over it. So it was
He's a
just
smart
carrots,
man.
onions. Yeah, he's good like that. He doesn't mind doing, because like if
Hey,
I
but
were the only one that cooked, he probably wouldn't get enough meat because I
mhm.
like it, but not I don't I'm not
Mhm.
really. I probably could be a vegetarian if I
Yeah.
didn't have a husband with so much, like loves
He
meat.
likes
But
it.
he has
Eating
to have his
paper.
carbs because hey, Paul on the go. But we're talking
Paper.
about Duncan. But he has to have
Yeah,
his
he
carbs
comes
because
to.
he's climbing mountains and stuff. So
Yeah, we say Duncan and Poe just pops on. It's almost like it's
the
his
first time
cue
we've
word.
mentioned him.
Yeah, I know. It's
I
hilarious.
think they're the same person because whenever Duncan
Maybe.
pops in, I did a whole stream with Duncan yesterday and
Oh
Poe
no.
never showed up.
Uh-oh.
I
The
know, it's so
secret's
funny.
out. The secret is out. Poe is actually Duncan.
I don't know. I think they're like
That's
yeah,
hilarious.
like holograms or something. 'Cause
I don't
there's
know where Duncan is.
I can hear him. He's knocking around somewhere. He went to the gym and then he came back, and that's why like he does need carbs because he's like
Yeah.
I would die without carbs because he
Yeah.
does
Well,
exercise
see,
a lot. But I don't
that's like
I don't burn them off at all.
yeah, that's like last night for dinner. I made sausage stew, which is one of my husband's favorite things. And what sausage stew has in it is kielbasa sausage, uh, peppers, onions, and potatoes. Okay,
Mhm,
well, for the most part, it's okay. It's just when you get to the potatoes that becomes
mhm,
the issue. And you'll discover if you have people in your family that are not into it or don't want to do it, um, you'll discover you're going to cook two different meals
mhm,
because I made his in a big pan, a big baking dish, and then mine's in this little baking dish. It's basically two helpings for me of
mhm,
of the low carb. And like I said, I switched out the mushrooms. I absolutely love mushrooms. And mushrooms, a lot of people say for their potato replacement, they do use radishes or daikon or, and any number of things that they use that are carb friendly.
mhm.
Um, I use mushrooms. That's what I use as my potato replacement is
Yeah.
mushrooms. And the reason I use that is it has sort of the same texture once they're cooked, but they draw in. I mean, mushrooms really don't have any flavor. So they take flavor. I've got a fly in here to bother me. Anyway, you know, it's in and out. You know how it goes. But anyway, mushrooms take on the flavor of whatever they're cooked in.
Mhm,
So you get this flavor bomb that has the texture of a potato, and that's what I use. So if you want to use things that are potato replacement, now obviously mashed mushrooms is not going to be a thing, you know, but
right. Yeah.
um, yeah. So, but but if you're looking for like whole potato type feel, flavor, that kind of thing, um, think about mushrooms. I mean, like I said, you can use radishes. Now, I find radishes once you cook them that they become really sweet.
Really? I've never cooked a radish.
Yeah. If you take and you oven bake them,
Mhm.
um, they do. I cut them in half and
Mhm.
oil and season and throw them in the oven. They actually become somewhat sweet. So, but to me, it just wasn't sweet with an interesting flavor. Okay, it has a sweet undertone, but it's got kind of an odd flavor on top.
Mm.
And to me, I'm a texture girl. A lot of people will have uh foods. The reason they don't like it is because they don't like the flavor or they don't like the texture. That tends to be the two things. And I'm a texture person. It's one of those things where I'm not a big fan of rice because of the texture, but if you flavor it enough, I will eat
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
So the easiest thing for me to do is, if I'm making rice for them, is to you just make white rice, because I look at that and go, ugh.
Right. Yeah.
I don't like white rice.
Yeah.
But again, when we're talking about radishes and cooking them as a potato replacement, again, it's a texture thing. So yeah, swede is
What's that?
a. What is swede, Claire? I don't know what that is. If it's something that, yeah,
Turnip makes
turnip
great mashed
stew,
potatoes. I'll have to try that.
turnip
Try that.
stew. Um, and the interesting thing about mashed potatoes is you can take and put stuff in them. Um, cheese, quote unquote mashed potatoes, things like turnips. You have to look at what the carb value is on a turnip, because basically what I've learned. Oh my lord, honey, I'm on there. Dog did drop something on him, and he dropped the F bomb.
Oh, I didn't even hear it. That's
But
okay. We're far enough into
well,
the stream.
I have the mic gain pretty far down, so hopefully. But anyway, so if you the thing that we're talking about cauliflower as a mashed potato or a rice.
Yeah.
And the problem that I have with it is that the thing that I love so much about raw cauliflower becomes overwhelming when
Mhm.
it's cooked. It's just like, oh my God, it's too much.
So I'll tell you 2
Um,
things I've done with that is I've made stuffed
mhm,
peppers instead of the rice. I'll
mhm,
take the cauliflower and really drain it really, really good so it's like dry. I buy the bags of plain cauliflower, or I use my Cuisinart, you know,
yeah,
and you just steam it just enough so that it'll, pulse
it'll
up. And then
break down.
I've made stuffed peppers, and I've also
Mhm,
made a lot of fried rice, and I just put a
mhm,
ton of like eggs and soy sauce, a little
mhm,
bit of like what is that? I use Swerve. It doesn't seem to bother me too much. Like I don't get
mhm,
migraines or anything from Swerve.
mhm.
So
I can use swerve
and
some, yeah.
Duncan doesn't notice the difference. Like he doesn't know
Mm.
it's cauliflower. It's so funny. He
Yeah, I
just eats it.
can't. Yeah, I just all I taste is that flavor. I
Yeah.
have
The
done everything.
cabbagey, yeah, the cabbagey
Yeah,
flavor.
I
Yeah.
have done everything and put stuff in it. Now, I like Swerve, and in fact, come Christmas time, you're gonna love me, Marilyn, because I have a low carb, what I call fantasy fudge.
Oh, okay,
Do you
cool.
remember?
I'll do that.
Do you remember the marshmallow cream fudge that used to be? You used to have a fudge
Oh, the
recipe on
fluff,
the back of my
yeah, I think it was
marshmallow
Never
fudge. Yeah,
Fail. Yeah, Never Fail fudge
never
on
fail.
fluff
Wait, fantasy
fluff
fudge. Yeah.
chocolate. Yeah. Yep.
Um, it is basically that recipe, only you make your own marshmallows, which are incredibly easy to make, sugar-free
Hi,
marshmallows,
Lori.
and you use a different chocolate, and you use Swerve. But it is a super easy fudge, and you can have a lot of it.
Hmm.
So,
So you don't
yeah. So
no
Christmas.
flour or anything like that?
No,
What's like the base of it? Just the
the fudge itself,
yeah.
it's like the Lily's chocolate, the unflavored chocolate. It
Oh,
is, of course, with fudge you don't use um flour. Like, you're thinking brownie versus fudge.
oh, so what
Um,
but like what's the mass in it? Is it cream cheese, butter? What is it? What Like
I'd have
what
to
makes
look at
it
the recipe.
salt?
I pull it up really quick because
Mhm.
it's been a while since
That's
I
okay.
made it. It's off the top of my
That's
head, but
okay.
I do know that you can make it's egg whites and basically a simple syrup made with the syrup to make the marshmallows, to make marshmallow cream, and
Mhm.
then it's milk and oil and I can't remember what's all in it, but um, it tastes like the fantasy fudge. The only thing that I didn't care for, and it's an erythritol thing, which swerve is erythritol, is that at the very tail end you get a cooling effect.
Mhm. I don't mind
Okay.
that.
Um, I'm not a big
Mhm.
fan of that in fudge. Now, in peppermint
Mm.
patties, perfection,
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah.
because you expect that cool, but I didn't expect it quite at the fudge. So
I mean,
yeah,
brownies.
had you at brownies. Yeah. I make gummy bears. Believe it or not, when we're talking about electrolytes, we're talking about you need to make sure you get your you get something when you go low carb. You get something called they call it keto flu. Okay. And you'll feel like crap. You'll feel like you have the flu. Now, the way to combat that is electrolytes. So if you I never had keto flu because I drank a lot of electrolytes. I kept electrolytes going. Um, a lot of people say drink pickle juice. I'm like, okay, but
Yeah,
but
see, I have high blood
electrolytes are
pressure. I have high blood
mhm.
pressure, so I use the
That
low,
salt would be
the
rough.
lower
Yeah,
salt. Yeah. Yeah, so
yeah, that
pickle
salt
juice
would be
is a
rough.
lot of yeah,
Yeah, but
I do love
if you
salt.
do like the electrolyte drinks, oh, I do too. But you have to realize salt is supposed to be a flavor enhancer, not the flavor. So,
Mhm.
so anyway,
Exactly.
use your electrolytes, and that will combat keto flu. Um, and I make a gummy bear, and you can order the little gummy bear things online at Amazon. You
Mhm.
make the bears. But instead of using water, because basically for the gummy bears, it is sugar free Jello. Okay,
Yep.
2 packets of gelatin and a hot liquid. That's it. Okay, because
Mhm.
the gummy bear, basically, what you're doing when you're adding the gelatin to the Jello is you're making it that hard so you can pull it out and it's dry, right? Um, well, instead of using water, I use Pedialyte, unflavored Pedialyte.
Mm.
And that is an electrolyte replacement. I have been known to add apple cider vinegar to it. So Pedialyte and apple cider vinegar being the liquids that I use to make the gelatin for the gummy
Mhm.
bears.
Oh,
And so I can sit here and pop those gummy bears, and I'm getting my electrolytes that I need.
cool. Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah.
there's things you could do, and it's a treat. So you're looking at it going, I'm popping these gummy bears, and it's a treat, and I can have a bunch of them because yeah, they're low carb, they're low sugar, and so do I necessarily need any other candy? And they're good for you.
Mhm.
So I had a work friend that had keto flu. It took about 2 days to power through for him. Yes, keto flu is not fun. It's pretty uncomfortable. But yeah, it literally is a case of getting enough fluids and enough electrolytes in. So make sure that if you decide to go
Mhm.
low carb, Marilyn, make sure you pick up some way to get those electrolytes, because you will, if you don't, you will start that we call the keto flu, and you'll feel bad. So
Mhm.
we don't want that. So
No. So do you eat any beans at all? Because they're like, I mean,
no,
they're moderate. There are some carbs in them, but there's a lot of
there's
fiber. There's a lot of fiber and they're good protein. So that's kind of
yeah,
something that,
I
you don't.
I don't. Beans are very iffy. They're lentils, I think, are actually better than beans.
Mhm.
But even those are pretty carby. It's like because they make great lentil pastas and stuff like that
Mhm.
actually are pasta replacements. But if you look at the carbs and the fibers and you go total net, I mean, you're spending 6 to 8 grams of carbs on just the pasta, you know.
Mhm.
And if you think about it, you add everything else. So you have a meal that's going to be 15, 16 grams of carb. You're halfway through your carb count,
Mhm.
your carb availability on just one meal. And so I like to try to keep my meals under 10 grams net carbs.
Mhm.
That's where I try to keep them. If I go to the one meal a day, then I can pop that up a bit because I am gonna snack a little bit in there just to get through, but mostly I go through water. But there's, you snack on things that are very like maybe 1 gram of carbs, and then you do your big meal. Um, the part of the idea of the one meal a day is that every time you eat something, you're going to get a sugar spike.
Mhm.
So, and what you're trying to do is you're trying to kill those sugar spikes. And
Mhm.
so, if you're going to do one meal a day, then you want one sugar spike, and then the rest of the time you don't. So what you're trying to do is find things that are very, very low on the glycemic index that you can
Right.
eat as a snack, which, things like celery. It's not very fun, to have to deal with those, and there's not a lot of flavor, but you look forward to that one meal, you know, and you have a good one. Let's see, question: have you tried nutritional yeast? It can give you a nice flavor. The noise is wonderful, feels more like family. You talk about within my background? Oh my
Yeah,
god.
I love
Ugh,
it.
they're
Yeah.
they're they're I mean, my dogs, my dogs own my house. They just let me live here. So
I love it. Yeah.
so yeah, they're not the breadwinners, but they're definitely the kings and queens. But anyway, I have not tried nutritional yeast. I am looking into it. I have thought about it a couple of times. There's a couple of things I want to try to do with it that I think it'll work for. Um, but I'm still. I mean, I also looked at it for doing the pancakes. Was right now I'm working on one of the things I've been working on for a while, and I haven't. I'm not there yet. Is a recipe for pancakes. I got the recipe challenge of I want blueberry pancakes. And so the blueberry part is the easy part. I've already
Right,
got the
yeah.
simple syrup dealt with and the blueberry
Nice.
syrup. I've got. It's the
Mhm.
pancake. And I like a big lift and a big thick pancake. I don't like these little flat, you know,
Right, right,
look like
right.
a doormat pancakes. I like something to them. So that's what I'm working on. And so I'm working on I've started using the carbonated water with it, which is gonna give it lift, and I'm thinking that, the whey protein powder is gonna give it a little lift as well because I've seen some lifting with that. The other one is cornbread. That's the other one that I'm working on is how to get cornbread. Get that gritty cornbread feel without having it be super dense and dry, and that's the other one I'm working on. So I've got a couple of things I'm trying to perfect. Dumplings was the third one, but I'm gonna try this flour and see if I can
Yeah,
make
let me
that
know.
happen. And supposedly this flour also gives quite a bit of lift, so that it's gonna go in the pancake and it's also gonna go in the dumpling and it's also going to um, work its way into some other things because I think that may be the issue is because I'm having to use almond and coconut flour mixture. And the problem with coconut flour is it likes a lot of water. So you're like doubling the amount of liquid that you're putting into anything that you put coconut flour in. So be aware of that. If you're adjusting using coconut flour instead of almond flour or any of the nut flours, it really likes water or really likes liquids. So it'll be too dry if you use what you're used to using in the liquid
Mhm.
department. So buttermilk pancakes are your fave. I wish buttermilk was something you could have in low carb. In fact, um, a true to go low carb. Now I don't do it. I use 2% milk, but is to go with the nut milk. So if you're good with the nut milks or the hemp milks or any of those, then you'll be fine. Almond milks, all of those. Oat milk's iffy because we're still talking about a grain,
Mhm.
and oats are not a grain that are happy. Um, but rice milk. Well, rice milk is probably not good either. The hemp milks, the soy milks, the nuts. And also, when you're talking about when you're making fried rice and you use soy sauce, consider using coconut aminos.
What's that?
It is basically amino acids, but it
Mhm.
tastes like soy sauce.
Really? Never heard of
Yeah,
that.
but it's not. It's lower in the carb um, department than soy sauce, because soy has quite a bit of carbs. So
Really?
you got to consider that. Yeah. So definitely try the coconut aminos and see how you like those. It's slightly different, but I couldn't tell the difference. Um, Going to try to make the LRH meatloaf. You know, let me know how that goes. I thought it was probably the best meatloaf I've had. I'm not a meatloaf fan. To me, I'd rather have Salisbury steak or meatballs. Um, it's basically the same recipe
Mm.
in my head. That and my mother made the absolute god awful worst meatloaf when I was a kid, and I think that stayed with me somewhere. But that one was actually pretty good, and um, I'm not a fan of like tomato sauce or ketchup on top of my meatloaf. Um, I like a gravy, so that was one of the big things. But I also added some other flavors. Added some cheese, I believe. I'd have to look at that recipe again. But it ended up being really nice, and it was nice and juicy. I mean that's the
Mhm.
big thing with meatloaf. But yes, let me know how it goes. Take a picture, and I'll give you a shout out on the community page. So anyway, any other questions on what you need, Marilyn? And I'm or
Um,
anybody.
yeah. No, I guess. Oh, I do have one question. So do you ever make like vegetable lasagnas without the pasta? Because that's when I need to break out my mandolin. I cut a slice some zucchini really thin last night and made a layer of marinara sauce, and that I can't
Mhm,
remember how much carb. It didn't have much in it, and then just a
mhm,
thin layer of that layer of zucchini. I mixed
mhm,
some cheese with cottage cheese because that's all I had in the house, and then put a
mhm,
layer of that with some fresh basil in it,
mhm.
basil leaves,
Try
and then
fennel.
another. Oh, really? Fennel?
Yeah, try some fennel in there. I
Oh,
put fennel and
okay.
basil in
I never
my
cooked. Oh,
ricotta.
that sounds good. Oh, I gotta try
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So then I just layered it, and the only
Mhm,
thing is I didn't cook the zucchini first. So
mhm.
maybe it became like it was just
Really
really soupy, yes, because you didn't have
really
the
well.
pasta. You didn't have the pasta to absorb the liquid. So that was
I
one thing that
I have plans to
crazy.
make lasagna, the low carb lasagna. I have plans for that. I've got the stuff for it. I just have to get my ass
Right.
together and make the noodles. That's the
Mhm.
key. Um, the thing with zucchini or any of your noodles that you make with like zucchini or any squash is that you have to really almost dehydrate the squash. So
Really?
basically, basically what you do is you take it, you salt it down really good, put it on some paper towels, and let that liquid leach out.
Oh,
Then
okay.
rinse, just kind of wipe it off as best you can with a damp cloth, because you don't want to add
Salt.
water back to it.
Right. Yeah.
But you don't want all that salt either. And then put it on a piece of parchment and throw it in your oven.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, you're still going to want some of that salt, because that salt's going to pull that liquid out. But
Mhm.
basically, what you're going to do is dehydrate it,
Smart. Mhm.
and then you can use it that. But I'm going to give you a noodle when I make the lasagna here, and like I said, it's
Okay.
it's coming.
Mhm.
Um, I'm gonna give you a noodle that's made with whey protein powder and cream cheese and mozzarella cheese and an egg and some seasoning. Um, and it comes out almost like a thin, almost like a cornbread dough. A thin pasty like batter almost. And you
Mhm.
spread it on parchment on a baking sheet and you bake it. Okay, so it comes out about this thick. It's very very thin. And then I take a pizza wheel and I cut it in the strips that I want, right?
Right. Right.
Um, the neat thing, it's a little bready, just a hair, but it's very thin, so you don't really notice it. The neat thing about it is, and this is what family likes about it, and when I make it, like I said, I put all that stuff, so it's not just a set no flavor noodle. I put Italian seasoning in it, so it's seasoned as
Mm-hmm.
well. And the neat thing about it is when you build your lasagna and you bake it, that breadiness actually picks up the sauce. So it's like
Yeah, that's what I need.
it's so it doesn't, but it's thin enough and it stays intact enough that it doesn't give you the, oh my god, I've got soaked bread in my lasagna. Doesn't give you that feeling. It still gives
Right.
you that layered, I'm a noodle feeling. And it's really good. In fact, they prefer it over the regular noodles because it picks up that flavor. So that's coming. Marilyn, I will send you the recipe for it via email. So you'll have it.
Awesome. Awesome.
Okay.
So
Um,
I bought oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No. Go ahead.
Oh, I said I bought some I love chips and I love like popcorn
Mhm,
and stuff like that. Like I'm
mhm,
more of a savory girl. So if I'm gonna
mhm,
snack, I like that crunchy mouthfeel.
mhm,
So I bought some, I love kale chips, like homemade kale chips.
mhm,
And I have an air fryer with like 3 levels, and it's so much work. And like Duncan, if I'm
mhm.
making kale chips, he'll come by and I'm like, you can eat the regular chips, go away, because it's
Yeah.
so much work. But I did that, and I brought some fresh Brussels sprouts because I like to peel the
Mhm,
outers
mhm.
and put a little oil. But what do you suggest for oil? What are the best oils to use? Like if I'm gonna
Um,
do something with a high smoking
with high smoke
content.
point,
Yeah,
a high smoke point oil that I would they actually make some olive oils now that are high smoke point,
higher.
so
Mhm.
you can get them. But I use avocado oil for that.
Oh,
Yeah, I use
oh,
avocado for
never
anything
used
that I'm doing
that.
high temp.
Okay, I'll have
Yeah,
to try that.
yeah. The other one is coconut oil.
Yeah.
Coconut oil
Hmm.
is a good one. Those are the three oils that I usually will tell you that I suggest is using one of those three, depending on what you're doing. But I don't have the high temp olive oil, uh, but they make it now. It's literally new on the market, so
Mhm.
it's where you probably can order it through Amazon. It's probably pretty pricey though. Will say
Yeah.
that. So yeah, definitely. As for you can air fry those outer leaves of your Brussels sprouts if you want to.
That's what I
Yeah.
do. It's my favorite part. And then Duncan
Hmm.
likes to cut them in half and put them in the steamer for just like a minute or, a couple minutes.
Hmm.
And then he sautés them. I mean, I can do it, but he likes to do it. He
Right.
sautés
Right.
them with some oil and yeah, a little bit of uh
Yeah. Rapeseed oil. That's canola oil. That is
He's like,
really not. That's one that I avoid. Actually, it's
yeah.
got a lot of
My mother-in-law
processing to
used it
it.
all the time. Yeah.
I
It had a funny flavor,
I
I
don't use
thought.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not. The reading I've done on it's not particularly natural, and it's really got a lot of stuff in it that you know.
Zucchini chips. Yeah.
Yeah, zucchini chips are really good. You know what else you can have when you're doing low carb? If you like them, I'm not a fan, but pork rinds. A
Yeah.
lot of people like
I
pork
did
rinds.
keto a few years ago and I did lose some weight, gained it back. But
Mm-hmm.
I had pork rinds. My skin, and I don't even think I ever did the like keto. I don't think I ever entered that. Maybe I did.
Ketosis?
But
Yeah.
ketosis, but I just like I smelled my skin was like ugh. I smelled like a
Oh,
rancid. I feel like I smelled like a rancid pork rind, and I was just like, this
I
can't be
hate that.
healthy. And then
I
I heard
can't
of like
stand the
friends of
smell of them.
mine were like that were really into keto, they were like losing their gallbladders left and right. And I'm like, maybe this is too new to be really to be tested enough, because keto was
Yeah.
not really, it was fairly new,
Well,
you know.
here's the thing that you have to realize about any of these diets when you're talking about keto and low carb and so forth is you don't look at it as a diet, you look at it as a lifestyle, because if you
Mhm.
go off of it, yeah, you'll gain the weight back and then more, you know um yes, you can go off it for short periods again, so your body doesn't plateau. If you get a plateau where you're not losing weight and you're not losing weight, you go off of it for a couple of weeks, you come back and you'll lose weight. It's the same thing with cheating. Okay, if you don't do the cheating up
Mhm.
there, and then you go, okay, I'm going to do a 24-hour cheetah,
Mhm.
right? and then you come back and go back to what you are, you'll discover that your plateau, it breaks it, that plateau.
Okay.
So that's kind of how it happens, because I plateaued right at the 215. I had the hardest time with 220, 215 in there. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to stop this for a minute, for a couple of months. And during that time, and I mean, I didn't go wild, but during that time, broke that plateau, and I actually lost weight during that time.
Really?
So yeah, so and I was having a lot of trouble. So it's a case of you stay on that lifestyle, and then when you hit that plateau, you say, okay, I'm going to break the plateau and go back to normal, or somewhat normal with moderation, and then go back on it later. So, but the key thing you have to understand is, as with any diet, I mean, you do paleo, you do Atkins, you do all of those, and you go, oh, I've lost the weight, I've gotten to where I went to, I'm at my goal weight, okay?
Right. And then you just go wild and gain it all back.
Exactly. So what you
Mhm.
have to do is you have to moderate that. You know, once you hit your goal weight, you don't want to lose anymore, because then you get too
Mhm.
thin, right? We don't want that. So what you do then is you go ahead and you start to add things in moderation. But you're getting higher carbs, but you're moderating. And then if you
Right.
start to gain weight, then you can say, okay, I'm going to go for a week and I'm going to do the low carb again, and keep it down there. But the key is that you don't look at it as a diet. You
Right.
look at it as a lifestyle.
Mhm.
And you've got to break that I'm on a diet
Right. Yeah.
barrier, because on a diet you figure, I'm going to get to where I'm at and then I'm going to stop.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, if you're saying lifestyle, then I'm going to get to where I'm at and continue. So that's sort of the idea. So Lori places, sometimes you have to shake up your system a bit. Yes, because your system
Yeah.
will go into what they call starvation mode. And what that does is that it says, I'm storing everything. You know, I don't care what it is. And so that's where you're breaking that plateau. So
Right.
yeah.
What did you do as you were losing weight and everything? Did you what did you do as far as like exercise, or like skin, hanging skin, or you know what I mean? Like, did you tighten up? Did you move around? Because
No, I wish I
like
could.
moving around stuff for
Does
me
help.
because of my my knees and all that. But this is what I've been doing. I'm gonna share this in the chat. I don't. It might just
Okay.
go to mine, but I've been putting on this, I've been torturing the dogs and my husband with this disco playlist. And so when I'm cleaning, I'm just moving around, very low impact, but I'm trying to just make it fun, because I used to be like, oh, I hate, exercise. So now I'm just
Yeah.
going around and just doing this, and it's like, it starts with brick house, she's a brick
She's a
house.
brick house.
House. She's my dad. Letting it all
Just
hang
letting
out.
old hang out.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love get down on it, get down on it. I mean,
Yeah.
you hear that? You gotta move, So,
Uh-huh.
I'm getting ready for sweating with Steve-O. I'm gonna be like, come on, Steve-O, let's do a video call and we'll do sweating to the oldies.
Oh my. My biggest problem is with my back, I can't do much. And I do have that problem. There are, and you can look them up. I haven't really looked at them. There are what they call chair exercises, ones that for people who really can't get out of the chair. Um,
I'm sorry, I'm
that
looking at the
have,
chat. It's like,
I know, I
burn,
am too.
baby,
It's
burn,
like
disco
Disco
inferno. Yeah, that's on
Inferno.
there. That's on there. Put it on. I put it in the chat. I'll share it one more time
That's
before we wrap up.
hilarious. That's great. But yeah, they have chair exercises. So things that you can do
Mhm.
sitting in a chair for those people who do not have mobility. They my basic, I have to get up about once every 2 hours. You're going to start seeing me as we get towards the end of this, is kind of moving around a little bit. That's because my back is saying, it's time to get up.
Mhm.
I can't stand very long. I can't walk very long. I can't sit very long. I can't lay down very long. I just can't. Yeah. Um, so I really didn't do a whole lot exercise wise. And that's one of the things that if you go to Carb Manager, they're going to ask you, are you sedentary or are you active?
Yeah.
And they're going to make adjustments for whatever. And it's like a slider, how active, how sedentary you are. I actually put mine as sedentary because I don't do a whole lot. I used to try to walk the dogs. Yeah, they walk me, and my back just can't handle. These are the last German Shepherds I will have. I'm going to go to a small dog because I figure a small dog's not going to drag me down the street, and I can
Yep.
handle it with my back.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I don't do a whole lot. But they also have those rubber band things. I have a set of those.
Yeah. Oh.
You can do that kind of stuff. And I started those when I had my shoulder and my knee surgery. I've had a knee replacement. My right knee is totally replaced. My left knee needs it done. And then I had a rotator cuff that
Ooh.
went on me. But for both of those, the bands worked really well. So I just need to get back to it. That's probably my downfall. You will lose more weight quickly if you actually do exercise. And my biggest downfall is that I don't
Right.
do it. So I need to get into it. I just haven't type thing. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I've only been doing this for this is my day 3, and I'm just, just trying to get more active and
mhm,
walking a little more, but
yeah,
I can't walk long distances or do a
right.
lot. So, and very low impact. I'm not jumping
Mhm.
up and down,
Yeah,
Just
unfortunately, it's getting to
something.
be wintertime. A lot of pool, if you can walk in a pool, like in a
Mhm.
swimming pool, with the water resistance will help.
Mhm.
You had the buoyancy of the water keeping you up. Yeah, the resistance bands. You had the buoyancy of the water keeping you up, so you're basically non-weight bearing,
Mhm.
but you had the resistance of moving through the water, which helps. So,
Right.
um, when in the summertime when it's not so doggone cold, uh, popping in a swimming pool and walking laps is a good thing.
Mhm.
So, and a lot of people will actually use pool noodles. They'll put a pool noodle on, and they'll so they get more buoyancy, so they're less weight bearing, and then just do the walk. So they're not having to hold themselves up with their
Mhm.
legs if they're having if they have bad knees, um, that preclude them from walking very far. Then you can walk further because you have a pool noodle and you're being floated and you're
Right.
walking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
There we
so
go. Good.
that type of stuff.
All right. So this has been so much fun and very informative. Like I said, I was driving the other day and I was like, yeah, I gotta have Sin on again and pick her brain and yeah, so
Yeah.
this was
Well, I
this
have,
was
like I said, the new channel. It is the sister channel for Cynfully Good. It's called Cynfully Low Carb.
great. Mhm.
And there is the address to find it. You will notice a lot of crossover because the reality is that it's just changing a couple of things will take what you would normally say is, oh, I can't have that because it's high carb, and make it
Right.
low
Yeah.
carb.
Right.
So and a lot of things are already low carb until you add the pasta or the potatoes, you know. So you'll see a lot of crossover in that.
Mhm.
As you see, if you look at it today, you see on Sinfully Good, there's a new soup called tortilla soup. And then on Simply Low Carb, it's called Mexican chicken soup. It is the same soup, guys. Literally. The
Mhm.
difference is that I don't put the onions in, I don't put the corn and beans in, and I don't use the tortillas. Um, I use instead the cheese. I use avocados and it's just a base. Uh, what am I looking for? Soup. Anyway, it's that broth and the chicken in there. So
Mhm.
it still has all of that flavor. The beans are just giving you something, beans and corn are giving you something kind of chew on, and the
Right.
tortillas kind of give it a thickness. Well, do you really need that thickness? So let's throw some avocados in it and throw some sour cream on top. If you want thickness
Yeah.
in it, make it hotter, throw some sour cream on top and stir.
Yeah. I like me a brothy soup. Honestly, I
Yeah.
like to be able to hug it and sip it like
Hmm.
that. I don't mind
You're
that.
gonna like that. You're gonna like that soup.
I did see the
That one I think
video. I
you'll
watched that
really.
this morning, so
Yeah.
I'll definitely try
So
that.
yeah, it's a very flavorful soup. It is the one that my family waits for soup season every year. I have some broccoli and cheese that I'll be doing. I'm gonna do a baked potato, which is gonna go on the Sinfully Good channel, not on the other one because it's not gonna compute. Um,
I
but
love cheese.
uh,
I love cheese.
oh yeah, broccoli cheese is a really good one that's going to compute on both channels, and it's very simple. The biggest difference between the two is that one has a roux base and the other doesn't.
Mhm.
Um, it's amazing how if you're making a cheese sauce or cheese soup, you put the heavy cream and the milk and all that stuff in there, and then you don't put any salt in it at all when you're making it the low carb, because
Mhm.
what you're going to use to thicken that thing is grated Parmesan cheese. And Parmesan cheese has a
Oh.
lot of salt.
Yeah. Mhm.
So you don't put salt in it until you get through the Parmesan, get it um to the consistency that you want. Taste it, and if you need salt, add it then.
Okay. That
Okay?
makes sense. Yep.
But with that particular soup, because we're doing, like 6 cups of milk and 2 cups of heavy cream and a whole lot of regular cheese, which is gonna thicken it some, and your broccoli, um, and then you're gonna add the Parmesan, which is gonna be your final thickener, uh, you know, you may not need salt.
Right.
It's really kind of one of those things. But that's one of the soups that is coming. I've got a beef stew that is coming. You know, there's a couple of the chowders are a little harder to do on low carb again because we're talking about, you know, seafood chowders are fine, but like if you're doing corn chowders, the corn is an issue or the beans. Um,
Mhm.
you could do, but like clam chowder, Duncan, I hear you, clam chowder.
Oh, he loves clam chowder. He's been
Yeah.
bugging me to make it, but I'm like, "It's got potatoes." I mean, I'll make it for him, no big deal, but my favorite soup to make is, I learned how to make this when I lived on Cape Cod. I had a lot of friends
Mhm.
that were Portuguese and Cape Verdean, which is a
Mhm.
Portuguese-speaking island,
Speaking right,
and
right.
yeah, and, we made my best friend's mom made this, like, every Wednesday, like, they make,
Mhm.
spaghetti in Italian families, right?
Mhm,
So she
mhm.
made this stew that was, I mean, did it have potatoes, but I don't need the potatoes. Who needs the potatoes?
Right.
It's like a broth. It's like a brothy stew.
Mhm.
And you saute some onions and garlic, and then
Mhm.
you put some what is that called? Either linguiça, or I like the Portuguese chorizo,
Okay, yeah.
whatever they call it.
Yeah.
So I just chop that up, not a lot because you don't want all that salt and fat and all that,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
once in a while, and then you just put a ton of kale and
Mhm.
you simmer it with, well, I usually put chickpeas for protein, but I don't really need that.
Right, right.
But, I put in stewed tomatoes, canned stewed
Mhm.
tomatoes,
Mhm.
and it's just, it's the best. In fact,
Mm.
I wanna make that this week. And so I just put some potatoes in for Dunkin', but I can, take mine out or whatever.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say, I mean, when you get to the point of adding the potatoes, there's a couple of things you can do. One is you can, instead of like he does with his noodles, okay, when he does a chicken soup, same basic
Mhm.
premise is you take
Yep.
the potatoes and you oven roast them.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Oh.
they're done. Drop your
Mhm.
potatoes in the bowl and put the soup over the top,
Yeah.
and then you have the base soup that you don't have any potatoes in that
Mhm.
that you can eat as you're doing low carb. Or vice versa. You can pull yours out and put yours in a smaller pan and then go ahead and cook his with potatoes.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of stuff you can do that way. And like I said, if you're missing the potatoes in your stew or your soup that you're making, throw some mushrooms in it.
Oh, yeah, he'd love that. Yeah.
Yeah,
He loves mushrooms, like,
yeah.
loves them.
Just toss some mushrooms in it. That's like I said, I use the mushrooms as a potato replacement because I love them.
Yeah,
You
every
know,
time he goes to the store, he buys mushrooms. I'm like, "What's this for?" He's like, "I don't know, just gotta have 'em in
something.
the gotta have 'em in the fridge all the time."
Yeah, I do a stuffed mushroom with that has the. Have you ever had crab rangoons from a Chinese restaurant? You know the little packets that have the cream cheese and crab. in the
Yes,
center.
pockets of heaven. I love those. Yeah.
There is a low carb version of that. I will.
Okay, I need it. I need it. Duncan
The
doesn't like
hardest
cream
part is
cheese or anything, but I do.
yeah, the you'll use a lot of cream cheese. Buy cream cheese in the big, yeah, lots. Um, he'll just have to live with it. But it
I'll
is
be
a cream cheese. But what I instead of putting them in the little pockets, the little crunchy pockets, I stuff them
Mhm.
in mushrooms, the tops of
Oh,
mushrooms. It gives you that kind of same flavor when it's in a mushroom. Or you can put it in
mhm.
each the little peppers.
Oh,
It's the little sweet peppers. You spread it in there
mhm.
and do the same thing, and you get that crab rangoon flavor. Only, there's a lot of things that
Yeah,
you
I
can
want that.
use that are low fat, low carb, you know, that are better for you than say these little fried pockets of heaven or potato chips or whatever. You know,
Yeah,
um,
I'm a
you
savory
want
girl.
nachos? Yeah, if you want nachos, get yourself a bunch of those little peppers, those little sweet peppers, cut them in half, put all your nacho stuff in it, stick it in the oven for a minute long enough to melt the cheese.
Mhm.
Make sure everything's hot before you put it on there. And then those are the little chips. They're, you eat the peppers as the chip of a
Yeah.
nacho. So I mean, those are things you can do and they actually work out really, really well, you
Mm,
know.
nice.
So
All right, this
I
has been great.
had a
Thank you so
ball.
much. Yeah, that's great. So
Had a
so
ball.
much knowledge. All right, everyone. Thank you so much, and we'll everyone subscribe to at Sinful Good, and also we have the link to your new low carb channel.
Yeah.
Let's do that too.
I can actually
You
throw the
have a
link in
handle. Okay,
chat. Let me
perfect,
copy it. Hang on.
perfect.
Paste.
There it
Okay,
is.
that should be the channel
All
straight
right.
into. But anyway, y'all go join that channel. Like I said, it's
Yeah.
very bare right now. I am literally in the process of shifting things over, making the adjustments and shifting them over. The
Mhm,
biggest problem I'm having with that channel for some stupid reason, I don't know, YouTube is not allowing me to post outside links in that channel. It does on Simply Good, but not on that one. So what's happening is in the description, I go ahead and give you the full recipe. But if you want the printed version, the one that you can actually go in, click print, and it'll print out for you.
mhm.
Um, I have a link to probably the same recipe or the one that it comes from, back to Sinfully Good, and that one you can get to the actual low carb recipe. So I'll have the
Nice.
recipe, says recipe link, and then it'll say low carb version, and there'll be another link. And so you can click to the low carb version and print out that recipe so you can have it, in your repertoire.
All right. And I just got some notifications that there's the party's just going to keep going because we got Liz Ferris will be on for
Awesome.
in an hour, 3 o'clock Eastern. So catch her, and then later on, I think is it 4 or 5, maybe after that, hop on over to Kelly Copter. She's doing a
Please,
premiere
doing one.
with
Yes.
Jefferson Hawkins or
Mhm.
yeah,
Jeff
Jefferson? Jeff Hawkins,
Jeff
yeah.
Hawkins.
Yeah, so, there's I think the Onion people are coming on and everything, so,
Yeah, it's gonna
we
be
will
it's gonna be a party Sunday.
that's right, and I'm gonna put the disco playlist in one more time because I want everyone to listen to it and get moving and scare your dogs and have them look like that. My dogs sit there like, "What are you doing?"
What
I'm
are
like,
you doing?
"Trying to move around a little bit." All right, everybody. Thank you so much, Sin,
Have a
and
great day.
we'll see
No
you guys next
problem.
time. Bye-bye.
Alrighty,
Bye.
bye. Alright, let's see.